Hi, guys. Okay, finally we're on. Sorry, we had lots of problems and with a lot of technology glitches, which I'm not so savvy at this, but I hope you're still there. If not, you will always catch it later. Jivi and I were having a great conversation this morning, and a lot of things came up, very interesting, that I'm sure you'd love to hear too. So we thought we'd go on, be live and share it with all of you. So, GV, what do you want to bring up first? We have so much to talk about, and we have 20 minutes to do it.
Indeed, indeed. I think maybe for today we can talk about how much because the essence of our conversation today was around being transparent in how we're feeling. And when we are transparent, how are we communicating within that transparency? So, and I was sharing with you that I was at a particular board meeting this week, and I shared something with the board members that they were quite stunned by as to why I would say that. How they were very appreciative that I said it because it was the true essence of what was going on. But I think it highlighted for me about all of the little things that we're not transparent about. Like, I was thinking about this today, from the smallest thing of when somebody says to us, "Have I gained weight?" And you just, you're quiet for a moment, because even if you think that they've gained weight, you don't want to say it. And that's just a small thing, as a small transparency that shows up in our life. But then there's bigger things, that where we're in meetings and we're in, political situations where we actually don't.
Truthful or honest are two different things, GV.
Mhm.
Transparency is where you can actually hold the space and be clear as water and still as water. So it's not about a judgment. It's not about making a call. What you
Mm.
were talking about this morning in your board meeting was not so much about being honest, but because you were holding the space, you caught something that was said. It was just within the gaps, within the words, that was something that you caught and you brought it up and you made it transparent. You basically brought up the issue. And
Mm.
when the issue came up, it was dealt with. So I think when it comes to transparency, we don't need to be, because when we think of honesty, it just means your opinion. You're
Mm.
honest with your opinion, the other person is opinion, also honest to their opinion.
Mm.
Now, but transparency is a whole different ball game. It's talking about that you clearly watch, you clearly listen, and
Mm.
then you hold that space, and in that you will see something. In that you will hear something, and then you just, without judgment, you actually bring that. So the conversation continues, the
Mm.
communication continues. So that is transparency. It's clarity. It's clear. It's
Mm.
not about just a personality. It could actually, because that's a whole different thing. And we are all carrying the banner these days, be truthful. But what does that mean? My truth is different than yours. And
Mm.
it could, because I have my own story, I have my own history. And so I can easily label myself or others and then say that we are not being honest or being yourself. So
Mm.
another point that comes up with this is that um, it's not about, we have to get to the base, the foundation, that what is humanity supposed to do with each other? Why
Mm.
are we interrelating to each other? The purpose is growth. We are all growing together. We are
Mm.
interacting, integrating, and we are communicating so we can all grow better. So if
Mm.
that is our final purpose, and that is truth, it's
Mm.
not, it's just basically you can't grow alone. You know,
Mhm.
you can only grow when you have mirrors, and it's others are part of your growth. So when we talk
Mm.
about personal growth, it's slightly different. When we talk about self growth, it means that everything, or the entire self, which is all humanity, grows together, because my impacts, my thoughts are going to affect not just you as I'm talking to you or the listeners, but everybody else, the collective consciousness. So we
Mhm.
actually grow together. So if we are growing together, then is it fair on my part to keep throwing things at you just because I want to be labeled as honest or truthful? Or I have the type of conversation which lifts us both.
Mhm. Well, you know what was fascinating, Ruby, in this particular meeting, and I'm just using this as an example, is how awkward it is even for the receiver to hear transparency. So
Mhm.
it was interesting that when I said to the group, I said, could I please understand why the general manager is not in this meeting? And
Yes,
everybody just kind of looked at each other because everybody was thinking it. They knew that when you're doing a plan like we're doing, that the general manager who's going to execute the plan should be in the meeting, but nobody over 3 days had said that. And
yes,
so I just happened to question it. I said, may I ask why the GM's not here? And they just kind of all looked at each other, and it was a fascinating awkwardness because
yes,
it was like they were just hit by this question that they
yes,
wouldn't anticipate somebody to ask. And then as they started to talk about why the GM was not there, one
yes.
lady said a sentence, and she said, "We on the board actually don't trust each other."
Yeah. So, that says it all actually. We don't trust each other because we don't trust ourselves too. We're always in the hiding. So much of us is in hiding.
Hmm.
So that's also quite cultural, Jivi, that it's this cultural shit that we are born with and we grow up with, and especially being women and especially coming from, third world developing countries or partly even here, you see that we are not really permitted or allowed because we weren't culturally allowed to have that opinion. We didn't even have rights to vote.
Hmm.
But it's not just women, it's actually also for men at some level. It's just all humanity. So it's quite cultural, and that we don't really come up straight forth. We don't, we try and be kind, we try and be agreeable. And people often say that don't be rude, be kind. Well, where does kindness get you? That's bullshit. That's absolutely
Mhm.
bullshit. Because now you don't have a weak person, but you have entire species going weak and compassionate. Like, I don't mean in any negative positive way. I
Mhm.
just mean that we cannot hide behind being kind and not basically reveal ourselves. The
Mhm.
idea is revelation. We have to start revealing ourselves. So that means it takes a lot of boldness, a lot of courage in our day and age, and you have to be very comfortable with what's coming from you, right?
Mhm.
So
Ruby,
it's,
what do you do when you don't, like, say, for example, I can think of one situation in which I went through 2 or 3 months of being in a situation that I wasn't happy in. I knew it didn't feel good. But what happened was, I didn't know until the situation was over that I was not being honest with myself. Because if I replayed the last 2, 3 months of that situation, I knew back in December that the situation wasn't right. And
yeah,
yet I waited until the end of February. And then what happened was there's this weird eruption,
yeah.
right? It's like it's a very interesting reaction that's beyond what a reaction would have been in earlier. So what do you think like, why is it that sometimes we don't want to be truthful with ourselves, whether it's because we're trying to be a good person or maybe we're trying to be kind, whatever it is, but it's almost like we hide the truth from ourselves too.
We can't see it. We don't have the awareness to see it, GB. It's not even sometimes deliberate hiding. Yes, part of it is. That we all have agendas. There may be situations at work we may not want to actually talk about them, or we don't want to tell our co-workers that we're depressed. For instance, I've had depression all my life.
Mm-hmm.
So, you would say, oh, a spiritualist, a mystic, how can they be depressed? Well, it's a very physiological thing, and I have to manage it. But so it doesn't get me down, but I do have to manage it. So we
Mm-hmm.
are not open enough and straight forth enough to actually say that this is my condition. And the second part is that sometimes we don't recognize because we are mostly used to not feeling good, Jimmy. We
Mm-hmm.
only recognize, it's like almost like the pain. When you have deep pain, you can see it in the body. If you have a toothache, you realize that there's pain, you have a tooth. But
Mhm.
what happens, the decaying, the slow decaying has continued for a long time. So we don't know what good feels like. We are actually numb, a lot of us. And it's not our fault. I think we're in highly stressed times. It's not stressed because just humanity is acting up or doing whatever. It's actually, there's just maybe environmental issues that are affecting us, maybe food issues, but we seem to all over the world be dealing with a lot of chaos and a lot of new things which we would not expect. For instance,
Mhm.
our paradigm, even our thinking has shifted around morality, around ethics, around
Mhm.
religion, around spirituality, around behavior, around communication, what is best communication, what is not. So we are in a limbo. We are in suspended states with little bubbles in our head, not really knowing how to tread,
Mhm.
how to walk onto the planet and into each other's lives and have that transparency. So in
Mhm.
your case, maybe the recognition, and maybe for years we're not used to feeling good, so you just feel it'll pass. It's like a headache, a migraine that may pass. But when we look at it, we have mental health issues.
Mhm.
Humanity has had it for years and years. We have mood swings. There's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with this. We can deal with them. And
Mhm.
in older times, mental health issues were hidden. Nobody, especially in India, you wouldn't tell anybody and you would marry them off and hope that everything gets better when they have
Mhm.
children, when they have a marriage, it's all. But mental health also, there's bipolar, there's slight like depression, slow depression, very
Mhm.
silent depression going on, right? So
Mhm.
I think humanity, when we live basically off each other, like in the sense we are mimicking each other, we are all in a box. We are all trying to, when we compete within the box, right? So
Mhm.
humanity has not risen to an awakened state of living. So we
Mhm.
still are still, our goals are very much like each other. Our reactions are exactly the same. Our end goals may be the same, destination seems to be the same. So
Mhm.
somewhere that originality, that development, self-development has not happened. So I would
Mhm.
say this is basically the outcome of not being mature. Now,
Mhm.
this has nothing to do with education, because
Mhm.
education gives you a degree, it gives you a skill to work at something, but self growth is totally different thing. Now,
Mhm.
this has never been promoted. When people talked about spirituality, often they would say it's not your age. And then spirituality, meditation in the last 20 years became very popular in the West because we needed to de-stress. It's
Mhm.
still actually, meditation is still not done for self growth. It's just
Mhm.
managing the stress. So we
Mhm.
can actually see the faulty wires.
Mhm.
Now, it's not just us, all humanity, we have many hidden selves. I've got the sinner in me. There's many thoughts in me that actually, if I was to act out, would be criminal, right?
Mhm.
Now, that is our shadow side. A lot of us hide those thoughts. We are not able
Mhm.
to see them. If we see them, we don't accept them because we don't feel good about ourselves.
Mhm.
We don't feel good.
So, Ruby, if you you had said something to me this morning, which was very interesting, which was, Jivi, you think with your you bring your feeling first before you think. And I just want to talk about that for a moment because I've been thinking about that all day when you said that, because I'm finding that in a work situation, I am a lot more transparent. I don't know if it's because I think the receiver can receive the information,
Yes,
or perhaps it's even I may even be ego. I don't know, but I've been very well known to shoot from the hip. I've
yes.
been, people will, my past directors, executive directors have said, "Jivi, you're very transparent." So, but then in my personal life, in my
Yes,
friends,
yes.
with family, where there's a higher, it's almost like a higher feeling state,
Your
that
work
I
is
shy away.
your work is new. You don't have a history with those people. It's
Hmm.
very easy now to reveal a side of you that you like very much. and that suits your personality in this current time. So it's very easy. But when you have a history with people, and these are the people you've known for a long time, our reactions are different. I'm going to share this wisdom of thought and feeling. Now, a lot of people, of course, go by feelings, right? I don't feel like it. I don't. So before any feeling comes on, because body feeling is basically something that we recognize is happening in the body, but it is triggered by a thought. So it is thought first, and then the feeling comes split second. Now, where do thought could be new, brand new? Hopefully, we are new thinkers, original thinkers. If not, we may have a slight problem. But feelings don't, they come from memory. So what you think, now within seconds, you feel something about what you have thought, because people don't connect the dots so minutely, they miss it. So feelings are always coming from programmed states and consciousness, your shadow effects, everything else. It's coming from sometimes the dark side, sometimes whichever side, but it's all in the past. So a new thought, and now we slap on feelings on it, it gets distorted. We get trapped. We become, it's almost duality in itself. That feeling says something else, my heart says something else, my head says something else. When you look at self-growth, self-actualization, we have to move to the first thought. We have to move what is happening in the head. Then we can make sense of it and get a feeling to support that. But the feeling should not be coming from our past experiences, because the same feeling in a different situation could feel different. But we don't get there because we have this memory. So the memory is quite interesting. In this case, it doesn't serve us. So that's why the mystic said, the prophet said, be present, be in the moment, because we will be dealing with new situations with the old mind, with the old thinking, and thinking comes with that feeling, right? So how about, I really suggest that we just watch our head, we watch what thought is coming, and then we all have we have a goal, we all have a destination in mind, and then as you think, now use the feeling that supports your goal or your vision, your bigger vision. So come up with a brand new feeling. I challenge you guys to come up with a brand new feeling. Don't give me the same shit, because this is how I felt. So if you meet somebody new, and this happens all the time, a lot of times we'll ignore the person because we feel this person is not nice, or this person has an ego, and we are trying to save ourselves. By saving ourselves, we reject them, right? Because we don't want to be intimidated. So we somehow back off and just say the person wasn't good. So I challenge this thing that you've met somebody, and now rather than going into your feelings, just start to talk, just go into action right away. And let your feelings be expressed through action, because you do have a final goal. You know that no matter what, you're not going to abort humanity. You're going to have to deal with people, live with people. You've birthed people, and somebody birthed you. So we are not running away. There's no running away. And I think in these times, more than ever, people need to accept each other as humans first, and just come together. And there is power. Look at all the movements that have started. It could be one person, but it's the people who joined. So it's the power of the people. Now, if you don't have people, if we don't have people with us, it's not good. What kind of a leader are we if we don't have people, never mind behind, I say with us? So conversations, sharing. Also, another thing, I don't know if you've noticed, people don't want to be taught anything these days. They
True.
don't want to learn from anybody. So we've had it because we are tired, we are overwhelmed. And when we say be kind, listen to people, they have problems. I agree. I totally agree with that compassionate thought. But who has the energy these days, Jivi?
We
People
don't.
don't have the energy to listen to somebody who's suicidal, somebody who's sick, somebody who's depressed. We're all suffering from that overwhelmed tiredness right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking just to massage that little bit of happiness wherever we can get it. So we
Mm-hmm.
actually stay away from people calling them negative.
Mm. So Ruby, do you think, and of course I know you're going to tell me if this is my ego, but sometimes I feel that people are not ready for me to be transparent. So sometimes those are the times I shy away as well, where I just assume in my own head that if I'm transparent here, I might hurt their feelings.
Okay, great. You said it actually. I would say it's not the people, you are not ready.
Mm-hmm.
Open your cards because you know why? You want to keep the whole world as a friend.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be at odds with anyone. You don't
Mm-hmm.
want to risk losing a friendship or a relationship, right? Now, that's very immature for other people also, because if we can have differences, we can work it out. We
Mm-hmm.
don't need to fucking break everything. You don't need to burn bridges because we need to still walk over them. So,
Mm-hmm.
somewhere we have to get it in our head that we have to continue talking and it will come through that, whatever answers. We may not have the answers. So the bridges should not be broken of relationships. Coming
Mm-hmm.
to your ego, yes, it is ego. It's a sense of ego where I say people are not ready for me. That means I have evolved, they haven't at some way. So they are just not there. No, this is just a sense of ego. And when you maybe you want to also learn another lesson here, if that is a lesson, or that
Mm-hmm.
why do we need to have be so nice that we become meek, we become weak, we become dishonest with ourselves, we start to lose our own identity because we don't want to reveal our cards, right? And in
Mm-hmm.
that truth, when you're transparent, in that everybody gets helped, you get helped. So
Yeah.
these filters we have in the head, these masks are all not on our just our body, it's in the
Mm-hmm.
head. So at some level, what is it going to take us to think that this is how I feel right now, or
Mm-hmm.
this is what I'm thinking right now? That's all.
Yeah, and maybe I think like when I think about our relationship, you and I think about, there's been so many times where you've said things like, Jivi, you're just throwing a tantrum right now, or you've said things like, Jivi, you don't listen very well. And so you've been pretty ruthless with me. Like you
Yes,
don't I still feel the compassion, I still feel the love, I
yes,
still feel the trust of intention, but you've been really ruthless with me. Like you
yes,
don't listen to my shit when I'm going off into
yes,
venting, right, about things. And I find that such a unique thing to have in somebody where you can with love cut to the other person
yes.
off
Yes,
before they start to,
on the spot, Jimmy.
yeah.
Because my definition of kindness is alertness, ruthlessness, sharpness. So if you are talking to me, and this could be over coffee, and I warn you people, don't take me out for coffee if you don't want to face your
Never take
transparency.
Ruby to
Because
Boston Pizza.
it's a big risk you're taking with me because you're going to get Ruby, who's got like Ravan, like 11 heads and many eyes, and you make one gap in your conversation, and you contradict, and you're trying to pretend that you are coming from wisdom. I'll just on the spot say, hey, what about this? The word you used was this. That means this is, that means this. Go back
Mhm.
and examine that because I think that is where I thrive. I actually thrive in between the gaps. I live in between the gaps. So I'm
Mhm.
not worried about what words you're using, but I'm looking at where you stop your words and you start again. And what did you just mean? Because a lot of us have not built the in mirror, the inner mirror, which is
Mhm.
of consciousness. We have not used meditations, spiritual techniques for self growth. We've
Mhm.
done it to get higher and higher, but not grow and develop as human beings. So we
Mhm.
don't have those mirrors, GV. And when we don't have that mirrors, we can't see ourselves. So you
Mhm.
do need people like me. And I think I do it. It's like a mother who gives a child bitter medicine because she knows that the child will get better. Because
Mhm.
who in your life will come, love you so much as I do, because I know every soul. That's how I love them. And when
Mhm.
I'm with you, why would I not tell you? Because I know you want to grow. I know everybody's ambition, desire is to develop. When
Mm.
they develop, because outside development, you get bored of. People get suicidal when they get, sometimes even rich people get suicidal, right?
Of
So it's
course.
not what you create on the outside that sustains the inside. It's what you create on the inside that will sustain growth outside. And a
Mm.
lot of us, we don't have these models. And the models we have are superstitious or following a guru like that and all that bullshit. And
Mm.
then we become subservient. We don't ask questions. We don't become transparent. Then so I think it is my role. And actually I'm lucky that I have this love for people and this bitter medicine to
Mm.
correct, because I just feel it's beautiful if I can do that.
Mm. And
So
you have to be in a place to listen as well, because from a receiver perspective, like when you say those ruthless sentences, I have to breathe in, stop, and
yeah,
pause and think about, okay, well, what did that mean? Where was I accountable? What did I do that I shouldn't have done?
yes, yes,
And that's the fascinating part, is the receiver has to be in a state of readiness themselves
yes,
to be
yes.
able to hear that sentence as
Yeah,
well.
but with me, it's very clear. People don't gravitate to me. They don't come within my atmosphere circumference if they are not willing to grow, because
Mm.
that's the only thing I do, Chibi.
Mhm.
I'm probably the best friend. I'll laugh with you. I'll sleep on one bed with you. I'll do,
Mhm.
I'll be with you. I'll be in you. I'll be outside with you. I'll do anything. But my role is really simple.
Mhm.
Every role leads to the same thing, that I am basically helping you. And when I help you, one more piece in my psyche connects.
Mhm.
Something connects deeper in me. I become more aware. So
Mhm.
I do this work out of selfishness also.
Mhm.
My selfishness, people say that is selflessness. How does that reflect? How does selfishness reflect? I am the most selfish person, because every time I'm helping, I'm so passionate about that, something in me clicks again and again. And I
Mhm.
get to know one more piece, one more story that I have not personally experienced. So,
Mhm.
and I'm fascinated by one soul and how their mind works and all the stories they can collect through life.
Mhm.
I'm fascinated by that. But I'm not just fascinated by the story, because I do check the gaps in the story, because we have great lingo going, Chivi.
Of
People
course.
have great command on language. So they use language very flowery, very beautiful. But
Yeah.
really, in the language, in the words are the gaps.
Of course.
And I've
And the story is about making yourself feel good.
been
So
making, yeah, yourself great.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I was right and the other person was wrong.
Yeah. And I don't know when this will end. I think it's 20 minutes. We'll probably go on next week again. But
Yeah.
one thing about words, the power of words, which you actually write about, you asked that question, that you are a wordsmith. You are a wordsmith. So when you choose your words, don't use them because they are the fad, because that's something you learned. Try to string them. Try to string your real meaning, transparency through your language.
Mhm.
So evolve your language. It's really important. And we have fantastic vocabulary right now. We can learn. We can
Mhm.
learn to communicate in many, many ways. But
Mhm.
the idea of language is it should depict, it should express your transparency, your real self.
Mhm.
So and every word, nothing is forgotten in the psyche. No,
Mhm.
out there forgets, neither do you forget. Okay?
Yeah.
And how many times we've had this regret? I wish I wouldn't have said it. I wish this.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
first of all, we've got to increase the mirror. We have to increase the consciousness, the awareness,
Mhm.
the focused energy. Then we
Yeah.
have to actually stop questioning ourselves. So, what if you make mistakes? There's
Mhm.
always a word, sorry.
Yeah.
There's always a word forgiveness. And we are not perfect. You're going to actually
Mhm.
fall and then grow, fall. And so be ready to falter many times.
Mm-hmm.
And don't feel vulnerable because you may not know something, or
Yeah.
you may not have studied, you may not have that perfect education. Well, hell, get out there and reveal your thoughts. Let me know what you're thinking.
Well, I think Ruby, if we do this every week, I think
Someday.
we'll dwell in. Everybody will get to know GV very well because you know my life's an open book, and I'm willing to go because unless we go into the trenches, we're not able to learn and grow. Like it's words are very easy to say that, oh
Yes,
yes, I do this and I do this and I do this, and
yes,
even after 17, 18 years of this journey,
yes,
every day I find myself where I totally fuck something up. And then I'm like, well, gosh, I wish I had done that differently. Or I
yeah,
wish that, and so it's very easy to say that we're following a path.
yeah,
But when you're faced with the reality and the dysfunction of life that's
yes.
around us,
Well, we
that
are fucked up, aren't we? We are fucked up.
totally,
We should be fucked up. We were born because of her fuck. How did we get? So, I kind of don't mind this word. I think it's very appropriate. So, there's
mm,
nothing wrong with actually being fucked up in the mind. And
mm,
we will. How do you grow? Because you always reach a plateau. You use something, you use certain phrases, and you then get bored and you need something else. So your world
mm,
gets fucked up, your mind gets fucked up when it's time to grow. So that means it's time to learn something else.
mm,
So fuck up is a sign, a very beautiful sign that you're moving very fast, but just watch out because there's not something new coming, something new
mm,
coming, something new coming. So you're
mm.
a fast learner, fast mover, shaker. You do things right away. So your mind would get fucked up very easily.
So you're telling me there's no hope for me.
No, no, and you know what? I love it because when you get fucked up, you're now willing to actually look at something in a new way.
Hmm.
So,
Indeed.
there's no shame in being stupid. And I
Hmm.
like stupid. I like crazy. You know how many people hide their crazy streak?
Of course, yeah.
And that is such a shame. And then they put out this phony self, which is so darn boring
I
because I've met
know.
millions like you before. And I've got thousands like you before saying the same thing. Show me crazy, show me wild, show me
Yeah.
this, So
At
I
this
think
meeting
we
that
have
I
to
just
start talking about the crazy.
at the meeting that I just attended, they said, "Jivi, we cannot believe that you actually have alphabet soup behind your name because you're the goofiest person we've ever met."
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, as soon as you get to know me, you get to see the wrestling side, the
Yes.
ultimate fighting champion side.
So I think that is good. I don't know. I think 20 minutes should have been over. I don't know
Okay,
what the
well,
problem.
let's chat again next week then.
But guys, I hope you've enjoyed our conversation. GB, myself, she's a beautiful soul. Not too many people put themselves out there. And I'm a beautiful soul too, because I put myself out there again and again. And love being badgered and love being pushed. So, and through nudging and pushing, and we all grow together. So, if you would like to do something like that, like we've done today, you can always message me. And if there's feedback, I definitely want your feedback. Let me know what you think for sure. And we will, GV, you and I will come back again, and maybe we make it a weekly thing. And
Mm.
just have these beautiful conversations which are enlightening, and when we get enlightened we can see how stupidity works for us and crazy works for us. So thank you so much. And
Okay, thanks, Ruby.
okay, love you all, have fun, share this
Bye.
video. Okay, bye, GB.
Bye.